Everyone, today is a new day indeed. Um, so just want to start off by just giving you a little hint of what's to come. So, I'm planning, or like at least not planning. I'm producing a brand new character creation video series. So basically, it's going to be a brand new multi-part series. Not sure how many videos it's going to be, but it'll be a proper sketch to sculpt to retopo workflow. So basically, it's going to be a proper full-on series. That will probably start kicking off in about a week or two. But I thought I'd give you a little preview of what that character might look like. This is just a concept I drew up based on a photo I took in the city. So I'm going to talk about that in the first video. But yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of this character, because it will end up being a 3D one, and it'll be something that we'll be sort of working with over the next few weeks. So if you are interested in learning about at least my current workflow in 3D, that will be coming out soon. But yeah, this character I think I'm going to end up using for that. I think it's going to be really fun. All right, so today I'm just going to start off by continuing with the animatics that we're working on yesterday. And I want to sort of shed some more light on the process. So if you want to ask questions, ask away. It can be about anything, by the way. Ask about anything. I'm happy to answer. Yeah, the jacket I think will be really fun to make. Because it's meant to be like a leopard print. And I think it'll be really cool to see it come to life. Cool. So where were we yesterday? We were on this one. We're at this stage here where we were like creating this little animatic. Now, for those who haven't seen this before, this is basically a really top level animatic on how to like create a film quickly in terms of just getting the shots ready. So I have no, as I mentioned yesterday, I have no character models ready. I have no environments ready. I have no sound ready, but I do have a script, and I do have these cheap or free models to work with. Oh, really? Yes, storyboarding is super important. It's about framing. It tells you how you can set the camera up, all that sort of stuff. And I'm really enjoying this process a lot. I think is GP bet or 3D better for animatics? It really depends. That's a good question. And thanks for the super chat, by the way. It really depends on your circumstances and what you want to create. Now, if you prefer to draw, if you like the sketchiness of drawing storyboards, welcome. If you like doing that by hand, then yeah, by all means. I think 3D is really, the grease pencil is really good. The premise of this one is basically going to be a continuation of the last short film that I made, but with different characters set in the same world. But it's sort of like, what else is happening in this world? All right, so it all comes together eventually if I can find the time to do multiple short films. But this will feature some characters that I've talked about in the past, but also it's just going to be a full-on action sequence. So what I wanted to do with this film, at least for this second one, is to, in a weird way, increase the scope while decreasing the scope of the film at the same time. So the idea is that the entire sort of sequence of events takes place basically in this same area. So how do I make that interesting? That's up for me to decide. It's going to take place in just this one environment. So I'm not going to be worrying about having to create multiple environments like I did with the last film. So with the last film, I think I did like 5 or 6 different layouts for the setup, or more actually, definitely more. This one's going to be one, and maybe one for the wide shot. So 2 shots for the most part. For the most part, there is some small extra rooms here and there, but not much. But that's the idea. Let me just also get my multi-stream going with Twitch, just in case anyone joins up there. So I want to make sure the chat's available. All right, let's see. Sorry, just gonna go back to that. All right, cool. So yeah, if you are chatting through Twitch, feel free to shout out. I've got both windows open, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And if of course you're on YouTube, I'm here as well. Cool. So, sorry, just gonna split the view. All right, cool. There we go. Now I can see everyone. So, with this in mind, I've got this going on, and I want to just talk about how I am mentally planning the shots in my head and why they're important to sort of plan it in this fashion and why I'm trying to sort of lead the audience through the turn of events. So, the way this works is I'm setting up cause and effect wherever I can. So, when I'm saying cause and effect, good morning, Henry D. When I say I'm setting up cause and effect, I mean I'm setting up shots so that your brain can kind of sort of conceptualize the space as early as possible, while also leading you into expectations, while also not showing too much in terms of expectations. Okay, so the idea here is that I'm setting up the scene, basically setting up the scene through these actions and giving you a sense of place. Okay, so because I'm laying out all the thanks, man. I'm laying out all the elements to show where things will go, because once the action starts in full gear, which is going to be pretty heavy in action, I really want to emphasize dynamic shots and dynamic animation. Being able to understand the space as early as possible is really, really important. So what I got here, for instance, in this first shot, is an establishing shot. And an establishing shot basically tells the audience where things are before the action starts, I guess you can say, where the key elements are. So the reason I've split this up into thirds, by the way, if you look at the original shot, so if I go to my original shot here and turn on my guides, I've put things into thirds, relatively speaking, okay? I've put things into thirds in chunks, because basically what will happen is that your brain is kind of saying, okay, there's one element on the left side, there's an element in the middle, and there's this empty space on the right side that needs to be filled, right? And that empty space is going to be filled eventually, let's see, with, sorry, this. All right. Oh, really? I had no idea. I haven't seen it. So yeah, this is where the space is being filled by another object. Okay, so by setting the scene there, your mind can almost expect to see that thing get filled up here. All right. The next thing that I've done is also contextualize the mood. All right, so I want the mood to feel a little bit anxious. So this guy is obviously waiting for someone, and it's done through not through dialogue or through like being told to the audience what's happening. It's very simple. It's just fidgeting, which is what you do when you're cheers. It's just fidgeting, anxiety through the cigarette, like taking a smoke, and then just sort of like chain smoking. All right. Now I would actually, I'm gonna put this in there as soon as I remember to do that. I'm gonna actually put that in now. I would actually have several cigarettes here on the ground and one fall. That's so smart. Okay, sorry, I'm tooting my own horn here. I'm gonna have several cigarettes on the floor, and then one falls on the ground, and maybe his foot will butt that one out to show that there's been a passing of time. He's been waiting there for a while. Oh, no worries. I'm glad that you enjoyed it, Slipdash. New one coming soon. New one coming soon with Blender's new features. So if he was to do that, right? Multiple cigarettes on the floor, one falls on the ground, he butts it out, and then he takes another one, like there. It shows that he's, one, anxious, and two, a large amount of time has passed. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right. And then when he checks his watch, it just emphasizes that he's waiting for someone without really showing it, without really saying anything to anyone. Okay. Checks his watch, and then it goes wide to sort of give a wider contextualization of the scene. So the reason why the scene is pointed in this direction is to show that this building over here, this one here, is behind him. All right. So in essence, it tells the audience straight away, spatially, that the building's here, the crate he's sitting on is here, and he will be on top of there. And eventually, obviously, you'll see him in the final version. Good morning, Nuno. There. Okay. So all this is set up to say where he is, what he's waiting for, and then a close-up of his face when he starts hearing a rumble. Okay? Hear a rumble, turns his head, and then as he sees something in the distance, he pricks up his head and looks, and then wide shot again, back to that the establishing shot, and then we have the ship coming in to land. All right? Does that make sense? I think that's pretty cool. It's a good little way of describing how things work. But yeah, that's basically the premise of setup and payoff when it comes to setting up your animatics. So it's always good to have a spatial awareness. Yes. Oh, no, these ones are just me animating, but the rigs are from Mixamo. Good question. Yes, the rigs are from Mixamo. They will be replaced in the future. In the case of things such as SIGs dropping, using physics simulation ever a realistic option compared to manually transforming the target object? Personally, I wouldn't bother with physics because I would like to direct the action specifically. It's only one cigarette as well. Nah, no point. No point. I wouldn't bother with that because I need to direct. Firstly, I want to direct the action, so I need to tell the action where the So if the cigarette's falling on the ground, right? Oh, thanks. So if the cigarette's falling on the ground, right, I want to make sure that it lands in the right spot for one. And then if it stops, he can put his foot on it. All right. So the only way I can do that is by directing it manually. I mean, I could try and figure out how to like wrangle the physics to work. If someone on YouTube has just pledged to YouTube, to Patreon, please, thank you very much. I'm not sure if you have, but I just got one notification, but thank you. But yeah, that's why I would go ahead and just animate it. And plus, it's an animatic, so fuck using physics. All right. All right, cool. So what I'm going to do then, I'm going to quickly go to this shot. And I've also noticed a few things going into this as well. Just noticing that the horizon line here is a bit wonky. So I'm just going to fix that up. So that's a pretty easy fix. Just going to just straighten that out. That looks a little bit better. Now you may notice that even though the cube here is straight, we're getting this distortion here. The reason why the distortion is happening is because the focal length may be a little wide for this shot. Kind of. It's a pretty long lens actually, but yeah. Yeah, exactly right. Don't over-engineer anything you're going to replace in the future. Otherwise, it's just a waste of time. And in the end, I might not even need to have the drop. It just depends on how much I want to sort of add to it. Oops. I forgot to keyframe that. All right, so the simple solution here is to just put a 3D cursor there. I'll make a cylinder. Now, by the way, what do you guys think of having the What do you guys think about having the keyboard and tablet visible in the viewport? Let me know what you think. I kind of like it. I kind of like it over like just having nothing but empty space. Yeah, there is that. There is that problem. There is that option, of course. But again, man, you have no idea how many times you'll have to end up manipulating that. You trust me, you won't be happy with the result until you get exactly what you want. In my opinion, that's just from my experience. Honestly, I mean, it could be different for you. I'm just gonna go ahead and affect the oranges only. Move the pivot point over here, and then I'm just going to go ahead and actually, just to make it a little easier for me, I might put the pivot point down here. Origin to 3D cursor. Good. Thanks again for the yes, I will. Don't worry, Kelly. I will. I will. I will. Uh, Probably sooner than you think. I think yeah, there will be something. Yeah, yeah. I will be using the tablet in the future. I was using it the other day. Um, yeah, yeah. No, of course. All right, cool. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna go ahead and turn on snapping and surface snapping, and I'm just gonna just Alt D to duplicate. In this case, I'm Alt D'ing because um, it's just an instance in this case. Yeah, the only thing I got right now is whatever. I just got Gatorade. uh, because yeah, it was just there on my desk. But I could do a hot choco next time. It's actually getting warmer today. It's actually going to be a nice day today. So yeah. All right. So what I'm going to do is duplicate. Let's see if it duplicates properly this time around. No, it's not going to duplicate today. Let's do that again. There we go. That's what I want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's put a lot down. And I'm just going to rotate those a little bit, give it a little bit of randomness. There we go. And let's just try and animate this. Let's just do it anyway. So Twitch. I'm just wondering whether or not, like contextually, whether or not like the fall of the cigarette would confuse the audience. So you want to have if you want to have it, make sure if you want to make sure that the audience doesn't get a little bit brain screwed from it, you'd have to have the cigarette fall, him butt it out, and then you'd have to hear the match or a fresh cigarette being lit. So I might keep it as that for now. It's also a trade-off of resources. So is it going to be worth it to do so? Oops, just turn that off as well. You know, so we'll keep it at that for now because I want to move on to the next part of the animation. All right, cool. So that's cool. And here's a nice thing about hi Dico, my job is doing a lot of 2D animation in After Effects, but my passion is 3D. Watching these streams while I work keeps me super motivated, so thanks for streaming. No worries, man. I'm an After Effects guy as well. I've been for the last 5 months, I've been primarily working in After Effects. That's why you probably haven't seen me a lot lately, because I've been working so much. Actually, 9 months to be honest. Primarily After Effects. Yeah, it could possibly that would work if it was a darker room. So if this was an outdoor setting in the dark, and you saw the light flicker on the thing, yeah, that would work. But this is broad daylight, so you probably won't get that sort of reflection coming through. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and move on. And also, by the way, if I do a play blast now, a fresh play blast, and I just replace the animation. This is the nice thing about having a video editing software. Let it do its thing. I keep forgetting to mention this as well while this is going. I've recently opened up memberships on YouTube, so if you are interested in joining up, there's going to be exclusive content, and also early releases, early access. So basically, when I do start publishing out the modeling series that comes up soon, they'll be published first on the membership page, and then they'll be publicly available maybe a week or two afterwards. Cool. So we got that going on there. So if I jump back into my video here, if I were to refresh that, hopefully, relink selected clips. Let's go to my documents. I was hoping to just replace it, but sometimes it doesn't do it. Open. There we go. And now it's working. And now we have the cigarettes there. Oh, thanks, Kelly. Appreciate it. So, yeah, thank you very much. So yeah, I'll be also updating with new emotes and stuff over the coming weeks. So more stuff will come. So yeah, feel free to sign up. All right, cool. So we got that going. I wonder if Sony Vegas Pro 13 is too old for this kind of workflow. From what I'm trying lately, it does update. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, like, the thing is, again, Animatics don't require a fancy editing software. It just needs an editing software. So you should be fine. Yes, also, oh, thank you, DLM8492 on Twitch. Appreciate it. And thank you for being the first person to chat on Twitch in a while. So we got that going on. Let's jump into the next scene. So what I want to do is, if you see here in the ship landing wide shot, where it lands like that, I actually want to have it, I'm actually going to have it cut here at this point and have the ship land on the next shot. Okay, so I'm actually going to need that ship to copy across. So I'm actually going to copy this ship. And this is the dumb thing about Macs. You can't open 2 instances of Blender by default. You have to actually build a workaround to make it work, which sucks. But we get it working. I got it working in the end. Okay, so we got that going on now. So here, I'm going to go ahead and save this as a new scene and call it shot 03 or 4. Ship landing, close up. All right. And here we go. Save that as. Now, for all these cameras, I'm actually going to delete this stuff now because I don't need it. I don't need all this camera stuff. So I'm just going to go ahead and just kill off. How many do I need? I just need to have shot 1 available, which is this one here. All right, let's just kill off these cameras. Now I could reuse them, but I don't want to be sort of, what's the word? I don't want to be influenced by the shots that I have already made. All right, now I'm going to bring in the ship and delete the animation here. Because now, let's clear out the motion paths as well. Clear. Update all paths. Just kill it off. Sweet. So now, what I'm going to do is frame the shot. I think I might frame the shot just behind the guy's head, maybe. Actually, that might be pretty cool. So let's just reiterate. Let's just redo this one. Let's move this guy this way. And I'm going to have him sort of situated like that. That looks kind of cool. Oh, that's a cool shot. Actually, it's gonna be. Do I use Auto Rig Pro? Sometimes. It's a love-hate relationship with Auto Rig Pro, I must say. Um, Reason being is that I feel like some things about it are cool, other parts sort of infuriate me. Um, and the way that the system works, I don't know. I prefer, I like the speed of setting up the rigs, but tweaking the rigs can be a bit of a pain. Do you keep your streams PG? I'm playing your. Yes, I keep it PG. I may swear here and there, but no nudity, no NSFW stuff, nothing like that. So if you want to stream and you got family around, that's fine. And I'll refrain from saying anything silly as well. So keep that in mind. Um, yeah, I'm thinking about like that in the future as well. Like obviously my stream when I do my videos on YouTube, I tend to be a bit more brash. But in the context of streaming, you can't really get away with doing that. So when the when the ship comes down, all I need to animate now is the ship landing. Do I do any VR mocap with the HTC? No, I don't. I don't have a HTC Vive or anything like that. Um, I'm going to see whether I can get access to a Rococo suit without paying for it. I don't know if I can. But here's hoping. All right, cool. So here's a cool little shot. I really like that. I'm going to keyframe that frame, by the way. Let's just keep that on. All right, sweet. So what I'm going to do is have the ship land. So let's just keyframe that for now. And then I'm going to get the landing going on here. I will probably have his foot stop twitching at this point. Let's just get that going on like so. And he's still a bit bent. So I'm going to rotate that as well. Cool. That's cool. That's really cool. So it gives us a good sense of scale of the ship. And I'll probably make that building larger as well. Oh, no, actually that fit fine. That's a good size. So yeah, the ship has landed like so, which is kind of cool. I kind of like that. And now we've set the scene, right? It's filled up his frame. Yeah, I find it strange to use as well. Um, I think the complexities of it are cool, like in a good and bad way. Like, and the fact that you need to actually understand how rigging works to use the Auto Rigger Pro. I would say, like, you need to have a good understanding of. I know it's weird, but you like it's a pro rig software. So it does require a level of pro understanding. In fact, in a weird way, it's not for the faint of heart, if that makes sense. Cool, that looks cool. Now obviously that looks really kind of clunky. So I'd actually bring that up a little bit like so. And maybe tilt that up a little bit. So I really want to make it feel heavy. Boom. But I want the heavy end for the lighter suit. Okay. Yeah. I think the one I can probably get hands on is going to be a medium. So it should fit me fine. All right, cool. So there we go. I'm going to give it a little bit of a rock just because I can. And a little settle. Just to remind myself to do the settle when I do animate it. I didn't think I think it didn't help that I was just trying to see if it can get compatibility. Yeah, the thing about Blender and UE at compatibility in general is quite difficult. Um, but I'll be hopefully reviewing a book that will talk about how to export to Unreal soon from Blender. I think that looks cool. I might just change the pacing just a little bit. And as it turns, I might just give it a little bit of a spin. So in the graph editor, I can fix that. So that is technically on Z, I think. Just check the gimbal. Yep, it's on local. Sweet. On Z, let's just check the Z loc rotation. And get rid of that. There we go. I wish. That'd be sick. Maybe I should get in contact with them. That's cool. Okay, so there we go. Now, I would also have the, I'm going to have him stop animating for one. So I'll get rid of that loop. So what I can do here is clear cyclic, get rid of that animation. So, yep, sweet. That's where the camera will stop. Yeah, well, I'm also trying to improve my fitness as well, Kelly. So I'm hoping that I can run around and do jumps and stuff. We'll see. And if I can, I'll try and make a video of it without looking like a fool. So now we got this going on. The ship is surprisingly far away. Character messages instead of current versions with some of the other stuff. No, I don't know. I don't know. All right, cool. So I'm also going to add a little bit of camera movement here in the camera there. Just give myself a little bit of rotation. So it's going to stop here. And eventually there'll be some camera shake and all that sort of stuff. But for now, I don't need to worry about that. Let's set that to local. And I'm going to turn the camera just a little bit this way. Ooh. Yeah, that'll do for now. Not perfect, but it'll do. I wish. I wish I could dance. Good night, mate. Thanks for joining. Cool. All right, sweet. So I'm not gonna bother animating this guy yet. I'm just gonna remove some keyframes. That will be fine, just up until there. Yeah, I mean, like, you can add that sort of stuff for sure. But this is so early days that I'm not gonna bother adding the camera shake yet. And it would be pretty easy to add it here anyway. All right, so we got that going on. We've got some nice sense of scale going on there as well. So now, cut to, oh wait, before I do that, I need to start to hint at the door opening. So what I want to do, the ship lands. So this is all about contextualizing action, okay? Contextualizing the before and after, the cause and effect. So what you want to do, when the ship stops, I'm going to add some rotation. So then it goes like this. So open. And then what I might do is just add a little bit of more animation there. So like a hydraulic kicking in the door. And then it starts to open up. There we go. And this part of the animation will be vector. There we go. So it's sort of like unlocking. There we go. Sweet. Yeah, so I'd add a modifier if I wanted to add camera shake for sure. Blender does have that in the out of the box, by the way. Sulfurous. Blender definitely has that out of the box. Watch. So if I want to add camera shake to the camera, you can do it in multiple ways, but you can do it in the graph editor or in the NLA editor. But I got my camera here. All I got to do is choose the axis that I want to add the camera shake to. So say X rotation. And then I add noise. That's how you do it. And I can just, you can see the noise happening there. I can decrease the strength, increase the offset, change the scale of it. And there you go, camera shake. I mean, it's not perfect because it's, you know, just one. Actually, I might keep it in there. It's just one thing. I might actually keep that, to be honest. Oh, you got to do the sound effects when you animate. That's just, it's the only way you can do it, right? You have to do it. Yeah, you have to do sound effects when you're animating. Can you explain the keyframes for animating a ship coming out of hyperspace? You know, when they appear, it's simple, but I can't quite get it right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that one's a bit more complicated because it depends on what kind of visuals you're looking for. With your thing, you have to show me a concept, if anything. Um, Fatel Catalan says, "Yeah, I always hear about camera shake add-on. I actually want to get that, but it's quite expensive, so I'm waiting. I'm waiting before I do that. Make the punt. Yeah, check it out. There you don't know. You don't have to go back to Maya. You don't have to do that at all. And the cool thing is that you can ease it out too. So if I want to restrict the frame range, so when the ship stops, right? I can say, okay, I want it to start at frame 0. I want it to end at frame 140. And then I want to blend it by, I don't know, 20 frames. So it settles. There we go. And I can do 40 frames, honestly. That'd be better. There we go. Got some camera shake. It's not perfect, but it will do the job. To like just give it contextualizing the strength. And you can see here that this is what that looks like. 0.005. I'm going to keep it real simple. There we go. There you go. Yeah, for sure. That's it. All right, cool. So I've got this going on. That's looking good. Ship's landing. It also gives it a sense of imposing nature of it. So the scale of the ship is much larger than the person that's sitting on top of his crate. And now at frame 150, I'm going to add a marker there. The first frame will have the marker there. So I'm going to add a keyframe, bind the camera to marker there. And here, I'm going to make a brand new camera. And I'm going to bind that marker to this camera to view. And I'm going to firstly turn on the feature set. There we go. And this camera is going to be a lot wider, for one. As in the frame. Oh, shit, where am I? All right. For some reason, working in widescreen doesn't seem to like the feeling of moving the camera, which is interesting. So I got my camera settings here. Let's get that wider. So it's going to be a 35mm camera. All right, cool. I'm going to save that. And now I'm going to get this camera nice and wide, close up, pointing up. I want to frame the entire thing with the ship. And now this thing is going to continue to open up. Actually, this should be over here. And there we go. There we go. Now that looks better. This goes back down. Boom. All right, cool. That's a bit fast. Let's bring that down a little bit. There we go. Can delete that keyframe, don't need it anymore. There we go. And what I can do here is have either the camera sort of pan across. So sort of like this. Now I need to make sure that I'm seeing the whole frame here. That's still too fast for me. So what I'm going to do is slow that right down. That feels better. Oh yeah, Star Trek is always like when it comes to anything sci-fi, you got to use, it's always an influence, right? It's always going to be a big one. It's always a big one for me as well. And you know, they have some of the strongest visual language as well. All right, cool. There we go. So now when this ship lands, I'm going to have to set up a few things. So firstly, there's going to be 3 characters standing in the ship. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And now I also have, if you look at my screenplay or my script, let's jump over to there. I have the ship loading door bay opens. A scruffy looking guy and 2 other men walk down the ramp leading out of the ship. A door on the upper deck of the ship swings open, and a 4th man holding a rifle perches himself at the opening, looking outwards toward the empty landscape. They are all wearing similar air filters over their faces. So I have this description here of the action. So I know exactly what I want to do. This is why having a screenplay is so important. Okay, so I got that description, and it's only like 1 paragraph of words. Okay, so what I need now, I know I've mentioned 4 men, but I'm going to mix it up and have a few female characters as well in the group. All right, so I've got that contextualized. Let's go ahead and add those characters. So what I need to do is I need to auto rig the female character. So I've got that ready to roll. So it's going to go new, general, delete the cube. I'm going to delete everything here actually. Don't need the camera, don't need anything. Go to import, FBX. So I got them yesterday. I got the Xbot here. There she is. Let's just do that again actually. Import. I want to make sure that I don't have any useless bits. Ignore leaf bones. Scale is good. There we go. That's better. I'm going to click on this. Oh, click on the mesh first as well. Oh, the scale is good. Okay, good. Lovely. All right. So with that said, there's the rig. Go to my Mixamo add-on, which is free, by the way. I mentioned this yesterday. Create control rig. Boom. And now we have a nice, good rig to work with. Oh, no worries. It's good fun. Thanks for watching, Hornet Techo. Thank you. So yeah, there's the rig. This is why I would actually rate. I know it's weird. I would actually rate the Mixamo Auto Rigger higher than the Auto Rig Pro for these reasons because it's just faster. And yeah, I use it way more often. I mean, I wouldn't use it for like proper production stuff, but I would modify it. I could probably modify it, and it has some nice tools like auto IK snapping, stuff like that, the basics, which makes it really good. All right, so we got the rig going, and if we can give it a little test, whoop it up, it up, it up, it up. That's all we need. All right, so let's bring in these characters. So I'm gonna go ahead and save that. I'm gonna go to the male character as well, male rig. I'm gonna delete this dumb shit. Cameras, don't need that anymore. Yeah, it's free. It's free. You'd think that, it'd be behind a paywall, but it's not. So, yeah, it's awesome. It'd be nice if you could just jury rig your smartphone or touchscreen to use grease pencil in Blender for storytelling as opposed to a mouse. Wow, that's what this is for. That's what these are for. Tablets. You can actually you can use your iPad. If you have an iPad, you can actually link your, at least with the Mac, you can link the iPad to as a second monitor and turn it into a tablet as well. Hold on, let's see if I can brighten that up. That's better. Cool. So we got that working. We got these two rigs working. Yeah. So let's move on. Cool, 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 cool. Sweet. So moving on, we have our scene ready to roll. Now I'm gonna organize this a bit more. I'm gonna add character or well, let's just call it gang members rigs. All right. And I'm actually going to put these into a collection that's properly labeled. So male rig, save that. And I'm going to open up the female rig and save that as its own collection as well. Sweet. And then we can now import them without screwing with the setup. The croblet for using tablets as opposed to some kind of pad on your desk and a pen feels a bit foreign to me. Yeah. Well, with Flash, you can actually draw pictures. So, yeah. Yeah. Using grease pencil and the tablet is always going to be a real advantage. Okay, so we have that. Let's go ahead and append. I'm not going to bother linking because I'm going to be linking multiple rigs. So it's going to bring in the male rig. Go to the collection, choose the male rig, and append. Again, a reason I'm not worrying about anything like, in terms of, let's turn off auto characterize. There we go. In terms of not worrying about, sorry, it's just going to link that up there. Not worrying about, sorry, my brain's going crazy. Linking is because I'm not planning on editing these rigs. All right, cool. So I got one person there, and I'm going to duplicate this one, and I'm going to put that character on this side over here behind the other guy. 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to import the female rig. As a collection. And I could add this as a library object, but I can't be fucked. Sorry if I broke the PG rule there. But yeah, I just can't be bothered right now. So up we go. Oh, she's really spinning around. Okay. And this should be in its own collection, like so. There we go. I'm gonna put her. Why is she not linking properly? Oh, screw it. Let's just go up. Boom. And if you're wondering why the colors are different, it's because I got random colors turned on here. All right. So there we go. All right. So now it's time to sort of just pose out those characters. But first, I might add these as a constraint to the ship. So just a child of constraint onto the ship. For now. So when they can fly with the ship, basically. So, I don't have to worry about like keyframe them on screen or anything like that, That's how it goes. Yeah, the random colors is good. It's one of the best things in Blender as well. Every time you say things I can't be bothered, I'll screw it. I remember this is a creative process that I should relax. Yes, you should relax. Yeah, you can relax with it, especially when it's your own creations. So in comes the ship. You can kind of see their feet in the thing there. But there we go. And then next frame. And there we go. Now, I can either South Park it and just have them slide down the thing, or I can actually import some animation from Mixamo and have them actively walk. Now, for me, I'm not gonna bother with any of that. But before they start walking, before I move on, I'm just gonna go into pose mode and just get their arms down, at least pose them kind of nice. Now I'm gonna see if this works. I think it does because all the rigs are identical. Basically, if I pose one of these, I should be able to copy the pose to the others, even if they don't have any keyframes. So I'm gonna bring that down a little bit. Like so. So if I copy this, copy the pose, so copy pose to an internal clipboard, I should be able to copy it. That's the awesome thing about Blender's armature system. All right, so as long as the naming conventions are all the same inside of Blender and between your rigs, you can copy and paste poses between multiple rigs. So much faster than dealing with Maya's bullshit. So there we go. We got that going on. And they don't. This one has keyframes. That's why this one's snapping. That's probably why it was going screwy as well. So if I go into here and select all that, yeah, there we go. Delete that keyframe, paste. How do I write my short films? I just come up with ideas, and then I put them to paper. They don't have to be good ideas. I mean, technically, like I know there's limitations in my writing. I'm not the best writer in the world, but it's fun. It's fun to write, and I use this app called Scenarist, Kit Scenarist, available on Mac, PC, and Linux actually, and it allows you to set up all your scenes. It will tell you how many scenes you have. It will also tell you how many times a character is talking in terms of speaking parts. And it can also tell you how many action pieces there are as well. So story structure analysis, character activity. It'll tell you like when they pop up, which is kind of cool. And yeah, it's a great little app for just organizing things without paying like $600 for Final Draft, which is ridiculous for what it does. All right, cool. So there we go. Characters come out, and then that opens up. And then now over here on the left side up here is I'm going to have another character. So I need to quickly edit this ship. To have that going on. There we go. Yeah, for sure. It's really good. It's free. It's also open source. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. All right. So there'll be another character up here as well. Okay. So I want the character to come out and sit down basically with a gun, with a sniper. All right. Cool. So there we go. One more character. So I'm gonna have a character, the camera set that up as well. Ship lands. Door opens. Reveals these characters. New frame here. All right. So new camera here. Let's get that linked. Marker, bind camera to marker. Turn on the filter. I'm also about to turn on my composition guides. And my safe areas as well. There we go. So this frame will be I'm also trying to keep the camera relatively at sort of eye level as well, which is good for scale, sense of scale. All right, cool. I'm also going to keep it, let's go with, yeah, that's cool. I'm going to keyframe that. So just a little bit of camera movement like that. Oof. Down. There we go. Cool. So here I have a character pop out with and sit down. So I'm going to import another gang member. Import. And this one's going to be another male rig. Where are we? Too far. There we go. Let's just turn off the auto keyframe for now. And snap that guy up here. Will it snap? Sometimes it doesn't want to snap. It doesn't snap in the right spot at least. Project individual elements. That might actually work. That works better. Individual elements will always work better. Cool. So, ooh, don't want to do that. Just want to grab that. There we go. So that will also be a child of. For now, at least. On this part of the controllers. Constraint, child, oh, wrong one. We want to grab this one. Child of, and the ship. As I'm doing this, feel free to ask any questions. Blender is pretty bad at facial animations compared to... Not really. That's a good question. No, it's very good if you know what you're doing. I mean, like, the fact that you look at the open films, the open what do you call it? The Blender projects that they publish every now and then. Like, that's just testament to how well the facial animation can work. The only difference is that like you don't get like crazy fucking plugins and stuff that you would get from Maya, which is fair enough. That is true. Like obviously with Maya, you are going to have a more robust animation system. But if you know anything about animation and you know how to animate, that doesn't mean anything. Sorry if I saw that chat now, but yeah. All right, cool. So that's character comes out. Yeah, shape keys are awesome. I'm gonna probably be utilizing them more often than just using rigs from now on. All right, there goes the characters landing. Door opens. There we go. And then this door will open up. So I'm going to add a new door. Sorry if you can hear my cat in the background. He's very needy. All right, cool. So I'm going to duplicate that line. Sorry, I actually might get the cat so he doesn't wake up the baby. Just give me 1 second. Come on in. Come on. There we go. Do I need a cat cam as well? Hello. All right. So going to go ahead and separate that and turn that into a door. I'm just going to use a solidify modifier for that. Oi, what happened there? Oh, wrong one. Let's also scale. Let's apply the scale for that. Does that really screw up? I think it does. How do we keep a character-heavy scene organized? I mean, when there are a lot of armature objects in the scene. That's a good question. Normally, if you're going to be doing a lot of characters, objects in there, you probably have to link them in. And you got to have a really clean outliner. So when I say a clean outliner, I mean like make sure that everything's nicely organized, labeled, etc. And you've optimized your rigs really well. Otherwise, things get heavy really quickly. You probably have to end up using a lot of proxies. When I say proxy meshes and stuff, I mean like low poly sort of areas, like low poly versions of your characters as well. So you can swap them in and out. Yeah. All right, cool. Origin to 3D cursor. I'm going to delete all these keyframes. Don't need those. And I'm going to make that a child of this. All right, sweet. So now, door, camera. Now I can keyframe that. And this opens up. Do I want to have it come slide in or slide? Like, let's just do that actually. Comes open. That's actually a good idea. I'm going to do that. One. And then slides sideways. Like that. That's a bit better. Makes sense for a sniper to be able to not be constrained by a door. Like that. And I'll add a little hold there as well. Like that. Cool. Oh, no worries. Do I use story pencil, like grease pencil? I haven't used it that much for storyboarding in Blender yet, but I wouldn't mind trying. Unless story pencil's something different. I'm not sure. Cool. I might apply there. Yeah, this is previs. This is definitely previs. So this is just really getting a sense of the camera movements that I want to animate to. How much I need a model for the scene. So if for instance, again, I mentioned this before, but like I'll mention it again. if say my framing is this, right? What's the point in me and like making sure that all the detail on the ground has been textured and put there and all that sort of stuff, right? If I can only see the sky, why would I bother modeling all this stuff around it, right? Stuff like that. And in a shot like this, I may not even need to model it. I'll just go with what is called a plate, like an illustration of a sky, and comp it in After Effects. Won't even have to render it in there in scene. So that's the plan. To be able to really like hone in on what I need and don't need in the scene directly. All right, there we go. There's the door. And now this guy comes in. I might actually animate him properly, relatively speaking. In. Like that. And then he goes into sitting. That's a pretty horrible seating, but like, you get the idea. There we go. Leg. Let's get that leg forward. One. Why not give it a little bit of a step? One. And then one. And then two. This is by no means a good animation, mind you. This is horrible animation. Even with big animated movies, use matte paintings for backgrounds. It's just better, cheaper, easier. That is true. There is no point in rendering a crazy scene with millions of polygons if you can do it much faster and much cheaper with just a single plate that basically is a photo. One. I might actually just bring that a little bit like that. Yeah, there we go. Foot down. One. And then two. Like so. And then sitting down properly. You could use stable diffusion for plates. Yeah, technically. If you can get a high enough resolution image. That's if you want to go down that route. Of course, there's always the backlash that may come from that if you tell anyone about it. But that's up to you, really. Also, side question. For those who are wondering, I'm thinking about doing some commentary videos on just general topics. Especially because in Australia, at least, it is sort of university enrollment season, I guess you can say, where you put your preferences in for universities and stuff like that. One of my biggest pet peeves with a lot of YouTube videos or YouTube channels is their sort of their encouragement not to go to university. So if you would like me to talk about that, talk about universities and stuff like that in general, like what I think about that sort of stuff, let me know, because I have a lot to say about that sort of stuff, both coming from an education background as a teacher and as an animator and as someone who actually studied at university. If you guys would like me to make a video about that, please let me know, because I'd love to talk about it. Yeah, it's not that bad. It's okay. It's still janky, but But yeah, it will get there. But yeah, what do you guys think about that idea? If you want me to sort of do a little rant, feel free to let me know. Yep, cool. Firstly, also, how many people here are actually like students who are either thinking about going to university, or I'll talk about in an official video, but just to get a gauge of the idea, like how many people are here are actually thinking about going to university? Yeah, like a video about that. Sweet. Um, Also other ideas about like, talking about certain things about industry. So I might make that a semi-regular series, almost like a podcast style talk, where I'll do less artwork and more talking. It's good for those times when I can't afford time, don't have much time to actually do any artwork. All right, cool. Yeah, let's hear the rant. All right, let's do it. It'll be a polite rant for the most part, but I have a lot of pet peeves with, especially like, yeah, I don't know what it is about like YouTubers and tutorial, like, hint, hint, there's always a motivation, right? As to say why you would say a certain thing a certain way or suggest a certain thing. But yeah, a lot of tutorial sort of channels tend to love to talk about how, you know, universities suck and you should just rely on mentorships and tutorials. Um, yeah, it ain't that simple. I'm telling you right now, it ain't that simple at all. All right, so good morning. Thank you for joining, Prodigy Dan. I'm still in progress, but I hate for all the stuff I've learned since middle school in 3D, especially go to waste after finishing a university. See, that's a mindset thing. It's not going to go to waste if you know how to use it and you want to use it properly, and especially with a changing industry. There's so many things you can do with it. All right, cool. So here, now technically he should be holding a gun. So what I'm going to do is just quickly model up a dirty, dirty gun. All right, cool. So I'm going to place that there. Make a new 3D cursor. So looking at formal education gov, if you have access to it, if you're in a country where universities are relatively subsidized, especially, yes, that's exactly right. And I want to talk about that, Jordan, about the contextualization of these suggestions by many people. All right, because it always comes from an American context for one, which sucks because America and the way they do things is quite unique in general. Like subsidized universities, for the most part, exist in many parts of the world. So that's a different question. It's still expensive, but it's also worth noting. Um, but yeah, there's all kinds of things to consider. Especially, there's some things I want to talk about specifically about industry that no one likes to talk about as well. And that is access to certain things. All right, access that only universities can give you. All right. Yeah, yeah, it definitely is. Like there is always going to be that sucks, dude. Financial aid that got lost, that stinks. So yeah, that's where these sort of things come into play. It's all about context. All right, so this person has a sniper rifle. So I'm just going to do a very cheap and dirty sniper rifle. Um, Hey Dico, thanks for streaming. Have watched a lot of your videos and tutorials and thank you, 10 hides. Appreciate it. Um, Hold on, I'm just gonna double check something. How things are going over here. Yeah, cool. Is that my entire setup? I want to build a new PC. I'm wondering what a good animating setup looks like. My setup is, if you want me to do a setup video as well, I can tell you, talk about that too. But let me just show you what that looks like. So right now, my setup is the following. It's the tablet. Obviously, I got a keyboard. If you can tell what kind of keyboard this is, it gives a hint of what I'm using and also the UI that I'm working on right now. I've got this mouse, this Logitech mouse, which I think is actually making me get more harm than good. It's actually meant to be really ergonomic, but it actually gives me much more RSI. I have a Mac Studio at the moment, which I purchased before the end of the tax year as a financial offset. I use it for business only. And then I have a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 audio interface. I got this microphone that comes with the same pack, so it's not a great microphone, but it does the job. And then that's it. That's my setup. Really simple. I would personally, if I could afford it, to get another one, I would get a micro or mini ITX system to go with my Mac setup for rendering. Right now, I have a massive PC in my closet. It's just collecting dust at the moment. But yeah, it's a pain to use. My friends overseas remark on how the university environment in New England gives them access to the best resources. Yeah, it does. Um, I would definitely like to try a formal education if I could, but I had to put it away and focus on working instead. So I really appreciate the free education. Oh, no worries. Appreciate that too. I'm happy to give it. Um, yeah, for sure. Good evening, VVBB. Thanks for joining. All right, cool. So I've got this going on. We've got about half an hour to go for this stream. And of course, if you guys want to show some appreciation, feel free to drop a super like or a super chat or something. That would be really much appreciated as well. It goes a long way. Cool. So I'm going to add just a quick little handle. Oh, thanks for the rating party. Cheers. It's been a while since I've had a raid before. Also bought a huge PC and do most of my work on a MacBook. Can't get away from the Apple products. Yeah, I bought a Apple MacBook last year as a portable productivity device. And the more I used it, the more I found that I didn't need to have a crazy PC setup for the most part. For animation, most of my short film was made on the Mac, which is crazy. And like, I don't know, like it just ran really well. So I really got convinced that it was a good, viable alternative. There has been moments where I'm like ripping my hair out with certain projects that I've been working on lately, but that's passed, and this is feeling a lot better now. All right, there's my shit little sniper rifle. All right, I just got to change the pivot point to the handle. There we go. Sweet. And I'm just going to bring that up here. So I'm just going to bring it up like so. And I don't even know if I can do this very well, but let's just give it a go. Now, here's a little trick. I'm going to make this a child of the COG. Oh, no, the chest. No, the COG. Let's do the COG. No, the chest. Child of rig. That's going to be chest. Is it spine? Spine 2. Select inverse. There we go. So now that's going to come for the ride. There we go. That will do. And I'm going to grab these hands now. I'm going to remove the keyframes. I didn't need to do it anymore. So just go like this. Delete these keyframes. So now they're kind of working with the... Oh, Let's just make sure there's no keyframes anywhere. Delete the keyframes. Is that moving? No. Good. All right, cool. So what I'm going to do is place the hands where they need to go. I've never seen a left-handed sniper rifle guy, but that will be fine. I'll fix it in the future. 1, 2, 3. Put that there. And again, this doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to make this a child of now, a second child of the constraint on the sniper rifle. So now, these legs are going nuts. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Let's just undo that then. Rather than doing that, what I will do then, I will do a copy. Let's just do it again. This should work. Cube 06. That's right. That's why it wasn't working. I had the wrong object. Go away, Dropbox. All right. So let's just try that again. And set inverse. I could probably just turn that off then. Maybe that's why it's causing that problem. No, not working. All right. Indeed ready for his job. Yeah. I might just add a, instead of that, I might just add a copy transforms or limit distance. Screw it. Limit distance, see what happens. Is that going to work? No, it does not like that. That's okay. This is the shortcomings of the Mixamo rigs. Cube 04. Child of. Why is there a child of there already? Interesting. This is not Cube 04? No. Ah. Oh, I got the wrong thing. Oh, so stupid. I just had the wrong thing selected. I didn't have a bone constraint. That should work. There we go. So now the hand is moving with the there we go. Moving with the thing. So now I can add this hand to the rifle like so. I'm just going to move this gun back a little bit. There we go. So this guy can have at least a decent pose. Like so. There we go. I'm going to add one more constraint. Child of. And there we go. True. All right, cool. So there we go. Let's check it out. Ship lands. I can turn it off with all the different bits. Ship lands. Boom. Out they come. There we go. Next shot. So the next shot will be there. And I might do a quick, actually no. I'll do another shot where the camera goes back to this one. This shot here, but closer up. So I'm going to make a duplicate of this one. And, oh, what happened there? Duplicate. And marker, camera to marker. All right, cool. I'm going to bring that forward now. And down. And I'm just going to delete those keyframes. All right. So we have 1, 2. All right, here we go. Door opens. And there we go. Now what I might do here, as the door opens up, I'm going to have the camera zoom in. Not truck in, that's different. I'm going to have the camera zoom in. There we go. Well, that looks a bit, that actually looks pretty horrible. Maybe not. Yeah, I have seen that bloody video. I don't know how that guy did it and why he would have done that, but like it's just so like over the top, the camera thing. I think I'm gonna keep it as is. All right, cool. Da, da, da. So this one I might actually just leave it at 50 instead. That feels a bit better. Yeah, that feels better. 1. Yeah, I was playing. I was this kind of works. Okay, cool. Cool. So we have this going on. Oh, thanks for the super chat. I'm planning on making a 3D animation project. Any tips or advice for a generalist that never made a workable animation? Camera work is a head pain for me. So, what I would say, oh, cheers. What I would say is, if you want to start doing animation, firstly, tell me what your animation project is. What's the plan? How long is it? And what's the plan? Okay. So what kind of animation are you looking to do? That's the first question. If it's more than 30 seconds, then you need to start thinking simpler. So as a practice run, you need a practice run first before you can jump into the big stuff, the big epic battles, that sort of thing. So start with really simple animations: walks, jumps, hellos, waves, little reactions to understand how animation works, and then you can really hone in on perfecting those. And then with the camera, I would say study films, and see and look at videos about how they work, because there's a lot of good videos about analyzing camera and cinematography. And if you can learn to understand that, then becomes a lot easier. The third thing I would actually recommend is grabbing a camera, a real camera, phone camera or a DSLR or something, and really practicing your composition just by taking photos. If you can take photos with good composition, you can translate those skills to 3D. And understanding focal length is also a really important thing as well. I hope that answers your question to some degree. Cool. So down comes the ship. Sorry, I'm repeating myself over and over again. But this is how it is with animation. You got to repeat over and over again. Out they come. Guy comes down. And over here, I'd actually do, this is where I'd actually would do a zoom in, because it would actually work, I think. Oops, let's just keyframe that. 50. 90. And then maybe a settle. Yeah, that would work. Yeah, something I'm sure. Thank you, Raisin Jake. It's something I'm sure some people have been thinking about for a while. It's great, but the render penalty ain't worth it unless it's for single shots. And if you're working for a 2D style, you may want to raster anyway. So overlaying 73 to 35 millimeter, 70 millimeter grain effects, blah blah blah. I'm sure I haven't. A child mandate imitating dad's painting. I'm not sure where this is coming from. Did I miss something up in the chat? I can't remember. Yeah, yeah. Like what I would say is try to avoid imitating other people's concept art in general, though. There we go. That was pretty cool. All right. Just gonna check out the graph editor and the camera there in the rotation. Okay, so it is rotating, going down like that. That's the focal length. Where's my rotations? This is one of my things I hate about Blender's graph editor is that it's not very clear. You can't like just isolate graphs very easily. It's always been a pet peeve of many animators in Blender is that you can't isolate graphs. Yeah, yeah, I would try and break it down. Like if you have 5 characters, it's too many. Like more if you have more than like 2 characters, it's probably too many. Like for this, the only reason I'm feeling confident about doing multiple characters is because I'm planning on using a few tricks, mocap and stuff like that if I can. I wouldn't be very happy animating all of these things from scratch. There's a reason why my first film only had 2 characters, and even then, it was mostly just Evie that was running around, and the actions were pretty simple. So you want to bring down the scope and keep it real simple. If the gag actually is just a punchline that maybe take 5 seconds, and that's where the most of the humor comes from, just animate that, and then worry about expanding that idea further with a new project with a new joke or something like that in the future. But 5 minutes is too long, even for me. Like my film is only 3.5. My first film was only 3.5 minutes, and technically it was only 3 minutes, without the credits. All right, cool. So there we go. That will do. And now the characters are going to start walking. So what I might do here, instead of animating the walk, I'm going to jump over to Mixamo on the website. Let's make a new browser window. And we're going to go over to Mixamo. Now I can either use, to keep it simple, definitely comes into play here. All right. The animation process on and off, because I was working on it since I think I was working on the actual animation itself for about, let's see. Well, I think I actually started on it in 2021. Maybe even 2020. So maybe a year and a half. Crazy. Early concept animation was definitely in 2020. But the bulk of it was done in 2022. So I'm looking for a walk. And maybe even steps, like going downstairs. So basically, I want to have a confident walk. Did I have a confident walk? Nah. Let's just look at walk. But they do have a gun walk. I know that for sure. Yeah, that could work. Because I want them all to be carrying guns. But it needs to be like a decent, like a not a combative walk. I think it depends on how you plan on publishing the video. So if you're planning on publishing it through YouTube or through Instagram or through Twitch, or not Twitch, TikTok, the shorter format actually may work in your favor. That's the plan for me at least. Try and do shorter format stuff as well. So even with this animation here that I'm doing, I might actually break it up. Like if I finish a shot, I might actually just publish it just as like a sort of gradiated thing, and then I'll combine it all together in one big premiere afterwards, just because it'd be kind of fun to show works in progress. And it's sort of like almost like a cliffhanger in every shot. Ah, that's the one. Rifle walk. So we got this going on, and I can make it slower because I don't want it to be too fast. Yep, I think I'll go with that. I'm gonna download that animation now. I don't even need to have this skin. I just have to have it without skin. 30 FPS. I'm gonna make it 24. Keyframe reduction none, and I'm gonna download that. So under here, I'm gonna put another animation here, like Mixamo animations. I'm gonna just import that. Yeah, make projects, release them in pieces, and then do a big premiere with all of it put together. I think that's gonna be kind of fun. I actually plan on doing that myself. Because otherwise you just end up spending like years working on something, and one of my biggest, I wouldn't say regrets, one of the things that kind of, I wouldn't say upset me, but I was kind of disappointed in, was like just how few views overall my film got, um, compared to even like my last few videos. I'd love to see more people watch it. Guys should share it for me. That'd be great. So there we go. There's the animation. Let's go ahead and bring that into this scene. So what I need to do is save that. Now I'm going to go to File, Import, FBX. Going to go to Mixamo Animations, Rifle Walk. I'm going to turn off Ignore Leaf Bones, Import FBX. So where's my FBX? My FBX is actually over here. So let's just go ahead and move this into a new collection called as animation. Oops. All right. So there's my little walkie walk guy. Now, firstly, I'm going to try and see how it's going to reproject. So first thing I need to do is probably see about how this is going to work. Should I eliminate a character in previs and retarget animation in the final scene? Depends if the rigs are identical. If the rigs are identical, you can probably do that in previs. If they're identical, they have to be identical. If they're not identical, then you'll have to do the final animation manually in the final version of whatever you're creating. Yeah, animation in general. I think it's just like, because my channel is primarily education based, the tag like the way the algorithm worked also probably didn't work in its favor. So I probably will re-upload the film to its own dedicated channel, and any black curtain content will end up being there, like actual published, proper edited stuff. No tutorials on that channel, just pure short films, entertainment sort of stuff. So what we got here? We got this rig here. We got this rig here. I'm going to save this, go to my Mixamo tab. And if I go to click on this and go to source animation, which is going to be this one, and I'll go to apply animation to control rig, the one that I have selected, it should work. And there we go. It didn't quite work because it's not in the right direction. You can see here it's applied it relative to the direction of this. So what I need to do is go to this controller, go to this one, copy, I think. Yeah, so I'm going to copy once it's loaded, like, yeah, I'm going to copy the location. Oops, wrong way around. Ugh, that really fucked it. All right, so this one first, this one second, copy location, copy rotation. Okay. And I'm going to fix up the rotation there as well. Let's just get rid of the rotation here. 90. All right, there we go. So technically they're all part of the same thing. So let's see what happens. Is there a special kind of struggle trying to animate an interesting battle when one of the fighters is a vending machine with legs? No, I don't think there's any struggle. We just got to plan it properly. So good animatics, good storyboards will help. I had some difficulty combining Mixamo mocaps with custom animation. Mixamo Ridge is kind of broken. I couldn't change it without breaking the compatibility with other mocaps. Yeah, so you need to, like, another workaround would be to use the Rococo plugin to mix animations. Tends to work all right. So we got this one. All right, let's go to Mixamo. This is the Mixamo plugin, by the way. Apply animation to control rig. And there we have it. That's working pretty good, I think. Ugh, not great. Another option here, which I can do, is just create a control rig out of this. And you can see it's working there, right? That's working there. And because it's created a control rig, it's also created an action. So if the reproduction doesn't work properly because you've got characters everywhere already, you can go to now the action editor and give it a name. So this is called walk, gun walk. And now I can grab this control, this rig here, and go to the action editor. And I can go to my action lists and look up the gun walk. And now that's projected properly. So now what I'm going to do is just place that animation here. I'm going to delete this old rig. And that will keep on going. So now what I want to do is bring that animation over here. Now it's not perfect, but it does the job. Yeah, the Mixamo plugin is a lifesaver. An animation in a question I haven't really found a good answer for, but do you ever move the root bone when animating a character, like walking around a room, just not in place? Or set it once and animate the other main controllers, like the hips? If you're doing a loop, and the character's not going to change its, not really going to change its trajectory all that much, or slow down or change its posing, then you can do it with the COG. No, not COG, the global control. And then you animate it on a path. All right. I'll show you. I'll show you once I get this sorted before we wrap up. Let me just fix up this wonky IK. Also, animate, lifesaver, turn that on. Set it to local. Okay, and we can fix up that like so. Turn that off. And now it's fixed. This one is also wonky. Let's turn that off or on. Fix this one up. And turn that off. There we go. Wouldn't non-linear animation would work for a loop? Yes. You can do a non-linear animation But you can also combine it with walking along a path. All right, cool. So there we go. And I might just pause the start there. Ooh. Let's get the whole thing going first. All right, cool. Sweet. So for this pose here, I'm going to just at least have him in a neutral-ish pose to start off with. Let's just copy that other foot. Copy, paste, and fix up those disgusting pole vectors. The reason why it's not working great here is because it's still a child of the ship, you know. Yeah, there we go. All right, cool. Yeah, I will use the graph editor as well. All right, cool. So there we go. Next scene is up and running. Here we go. One last thing I want to do before I move up. Actually, this is going to keep on going, so I'm going to save that for now. Now let's go ahead and talk about your little dilemma with the walking. So let's import in our character. Append mail rig. All right, there's our mail rig. Let's go ahead and import our FBX with the animation. Right, there's our animation. And now if I just click on this, this is, by the way, the way the Mixamo rig, the Mixamo add-on should work when it's working. And just go bake animation. And now that's working properly. See? Perfect. One-click solution. You can change the character while having the same rig. I would potentially do that if I had my own rig working, but I'm going to be building a brand new rig with brand new animation. So, but now I can delete that, right? So I've got that going on now. So that's just a loop, right? I'm pretty sure it's a loop. Yep, that's a loop. So what I can do is in here, in the NLA editor, I could set it to loop like so. In the nonlinear animation, just set it as such and then loop it. Another option is to actually loop the keyframes. So what I'm going to do, in this case, I'm going to loop the keyframes. Actually, no. Yeah, I'll loop the keyframes. All right, just because I can, and I can't be bothered dealing with an NLA editor because it's still wonky as hell. I'm going to select all the keyframes down here, make cyclic, and now it's just going to be looping. All right, so the issue here with this animation with Mixamo is that the COG moves forward, right? So you'd have to constantly tick the global control every frame down the line. So in this case, it might be easier if I go down to my graph editor, go to wherever the translation is here. This is just something I would investigate. I would not necessarily do this. It just depends on the situation, which is what direction is Y. All right, let's go to gimbal. Y is up, so Z is forward. Z location, you can see here now that this is the current trajectory. All right, so what I would do is isolate Z, delete those keyframes, and have it just hopefully, and on the feet as well. Let's have a look and see which direction these are going. Why? Ooh, that's tough. See how they're just moving that way? Let's have a look at Z. That's fine. Y. That would be hard to fix. Let's just delete the keyframe. I'm just going to see what happens. And delete Y location here as well. So yeah, what you'd have to do is basically fix the offsets to make it work on a loop. So what you can do instead, I think in Mixamo, you can set up the download to only walk on the spot. So when I go to, oops, wrong window. So when I go to add a walk, let's try that again, walking. See how there's this button that says in place? So rather than, I have to reset it. Rather than having the character move forward in the world space. So sorry, Mixamo crashed. Yeah. So you're better off just going with, let's just go walk. And I probably should have done it with the gun walk as well. So there's a walk. Set it to in place. Let's download that. Without skin. All right. I'll have to wrap it up in a minute, but I'll show you this anyway. Walking. Once I've done that, I'll go back to this. Let's just reset this file. And import the animation. So now that walking should have been in place. It should have been in place. Did I not do that? Did I not click that? I didn't. All right. Make sure it's in place. Download. 24 FPS. All right. That's better. All right. Going back to this one. Delete this one. Import. FBX. Walking. And now this is going to be walking in place. Great. Which is what we want. We're going to select that rig as our bake. Apply control rig. Delete the original. And now we have this going on. Okay, this is how you would go on the graph. All right, so now we have this going on. Let's select everything in the editor. Control Shift E to make cyclic, so it's now going to loop. All right, there's our animation. And now I will go ahead and add a path. So I'm going to use a curve to do this. Now, the direction in which the character is going to be walking is relative to the normals of the path direction. So if you want the character to walk one way, it's going to be following the normals of the curve. So let's go ahead and add that like so. And this can go to the 3D cursor. All right. So the other thing to be aware of is that the curve and the object, the origins, have to be at the same spot relative to one another for it to work. I'm going to be streaming 3 times a week, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. So I should be wrapping up now, but Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, for the time being, I'll be working on streaming. Okay, so now we have this pose. We have this COG. So if you want to animate from the COG and have a constant walk, we go to our bone constraint and we're going to go to follow path. We're going to choose our path. And now the character will be able to be moved along the path. All right. So now I just have to keyframe, and I want to go with curve, follow curve, and I want to have it be -y in this case. All right. So now, depending on how fast I want this character to move, I can go offset to 1. No, not 1. 1 minus 100. All right. Insert keyframe. This one's going to be 0. Insert keyframe. And now that character is moving across the path. But as you can see, it's moving pretty horribly. So you have to understand how. Firstly, it's a constant walk cycle. So no easing on the offset on these 2 keyframes. No easing at all. So you want to set it to linear animation. And then the second thing you need to do is figure out the speed or the velocity of the walk. When that actually worked out really. Holy shit, that was a good that was very coincidental. You want to make sure that the foot is nicely, firmly stuck on the ground. And that's basically how you get a character to walk along a path. All right. That's if you have a constant walk cycle that is a particular speed that doesn't change along the way. In which case you would do that. All right. If you have a character that's going to be shifting from location to location, slowing down, speeding up, that sort of stuff, then you may have to animate that manually. It's all down to the context of the project you're working on. Yeah, no worries. Okay. Quick question. Does anyone know any good guys on non-human hips trying to rig a cat, and the hips have absurdly large range of motion and the flap of skin from the leg and the belly is struggling? That's a good question. With the skin, you may need to add some helper bones for that just sort of stretch between the hip and the leg joint. You can add that with bendy bones and a stretch 2 constraint. For the actual hips, you need to look at the anatomy and see how it all moves. That being said, that Blender comes with a cat rig. You can actually create a cat rig. If you go to armature, animals, cat. There's your cat rig. And then you just got to generate the rig. If it wants to listen. It might. Yeah, there you go. Cat rig done. It's not perfect. It does a job though. It's using the Rigify plugin. But you can see here that if I turn on the bones, the cat rig does its thing. There we go, cat rig. Pretty advanced little rig though, to be honest. This is what I use for my wolf rig, actually. I use the same thing. Okay, that is it for today. I appreciate all the super chats. Thank you very much, and the questions. It's been really fun. I'm going to continue on with this a little bit. I'm going to add one more scene to this probably after the stream. But yeah, that's it for now. Thank you for joining. It's been great. Good fun. And yeah, I hope that you are going to pop in tomorrow. More to show. All right. Have a good night. Cheers. Yeah, no, sorry about that, Les Fries. There's always tomorrow. All right. I'll catch you.